me, Michele, on the street lights on the corner. City vibes got a story. Feel the beat, don't ignore me.
Welcome into another episode of Talk to Me, Michele. I am your host, Michele, with one L. Everybody, thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate you. I hope you guys are doing good. If you are not subscribed, please take a moment to do so now. And if you wouldn't mind, hit that share button. Send it to somebody that can appreciate this episode or has experienced what today's topic is going to be. And I want to make sure you guys stay in sync. So, hey, follow me on all social media. That handle is at Talk to Me, Michele, with one L. And if you are enjoying the conversations on the podcast, I do appreciate it, but I'm always open to hear what you guys want to talk about. If you have a topic suggestion you'd love to hear me talk about, send me an email at talktomemichele@gmail.com and give me a topic suggestion. And you never know, I may actually select your choice of topic to be the next episode on Talk to Me, Michele. I got to take you guys on a little journey, all right? And on this journey, we're going to walk down the back alley of social media. It's dark, it's dim, it's disgusting. It shows all the worst case scenarios of social media on this alley. Every detail's out here. So I just happened on the back alley of social media strictly by accident. So when I say I was exposed to the back alley by accident, I got a little nudity. I got the nudity side of social media. Now, true enough, nudity is everywhere online, especially social media. But this happened to me in a scenario I couldn't put it together. The pieces didn't fit, all right? So I was on a live, and I'm talking with three other adults, two guys, myself, and another lady. And I'm up here minding my business, laughing at the absurdity of the live, and suddenly I'm thrust into a world of unsolicited DMs. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all open for conversations about sexuality, but there's a line you don't cross. And somewhere between Instagram and my inbox, the line got trampled. So today I'm going to have some fun with this topic. I'm going to laugh a little bit with you guys and learn a little bit, maybe even cringe a little as we dig into why people feel the need to send unsolicited nudes. What do they think they're accomplishing by doing so? And how did we get to this point where folks are flashing before they're even introducing themselves? By the end of this episode, I'm going to be answering the big questions. What goes through someone's mind before they hit the send button when they're showing you their goods? Is it a cry for help, validation, or just poor judgment? And most importantly, how do we navigate a world where your DMs can turn into a virtual locker room at any moment? So go ahead and buckle up, y'all, because this is going to be a wild ride. Now, needless to say, I'm still reeling from this situation. So let me tell you how it all went down. I'm on live, having the time of my life. The conversation is flowing, bouncing from food to relationships to sex. The comments are completely wild. Somehow the topic of the female anatomy pops up. The host mentions he's not a fan of women with swollen clitorises, long vaginal lips. That's actually a condition that some women suffer with, and it's referred to as clitoromegaly. Now, I might have been a little too passionate when I defended women with this condition. I mean, seriously, why are we out here body shaming? People can't help that. But as I'm passionately making my case, I start noticing notifications from my DM. Meanwhile, the guy on the live is leaning to the side, clearly doing something on another device. And I just brushed that off. But here's where things take a turn. Early in the chat, nudes were brought up. And there was a woman in the comments that actually requested nudes from this guy. And look, if that's your thing, cool, but that's just not my ministry. So fast forward to the end of the live. I open my DMs and bam, a whole folder full of penises. A full folder, y'all, okay? And I did not ask for these photos. The unsolicited exhibit A through Z. This is not what I asked for of his man meat. And at this point, I'm thinking, what gave you this vibe that I wanted that? I'm just, replaying the conversation in my mind. So now let me clarify. This isn't my first time at the unsolicited man meat rodeo. But here's the thing. Usually these photos are unimpressive. They usually are. I've always wondered why men with the smallest goods are the most eager to show them off. But this time, he went all out. I'll just give him that. I'll give him the props. Noted. And as soon as I think it's not going to get any worse, okay, it's my turn. My turn what? What are my goods? No, not going to do it. But then the next portion comes in, a video call. I don't even know why I answered. I honestly do not know what I was thinking. I promise you. I was still in shock because I was just like, what? I'm just replaying it. And he doesn't miss a beat. He starts asking me to send pictures, laying things out. This could be done if this could be done. And I'm like, no. But before I can even process the audacity, hey, he's leaning back. It reaches in his pants and, it's a sideshow going on. I'm just going to say this. If you're going to send man meat pictures, at least make sure they're in HD. Because, some of these photos look like they were taken in the basement closet with a flashlight. And the angles like it's auditioning for the most unflattering view. But this isn't just about me or that one live. It's a symptom of a bigger issue. Social media has made it far too easy for people to bypass boundaries and common decency. If you wouldn't walk up to somebody in the grocery store, flash them your goods, so why do you think it's okay to do online? I got to dive into the mess. I got to see how we got here, why it keeps happening, and what can we do to make sure nobody else ends up with unsolicited art exhibit in their inbox. Because honestly, we deserve better. All right, social media has turned intimacy and communication completely upside down. Once upon a time, if you were interested in somebody, you'd make small talk, maybe share a laugh, work your way up to exchanging phone numbers. But let's fast forward to today. Somehow we just bypassed all that. It's like, hi, nice to meet you. Here's a picture of my junk. Social media has made impulsive behavior way too easy. People just feel this false sense of entitlement and, like they're protected behind their screens. It's like they're thinking, well, they can't slap me through the Wi-Fi, so why not? They don't think there are any consequences. And let's not forget the instant gratification piece. Platforms like Instagram, Snapchat, they've made it simple as sending a meme. Click, swipe, and send. That's all we have to do. Particularly, it's a digital conveyor belt of all the bad decisions made on social media. So is there like a button I missed? Is there a send nudes button I didn't know about? Did I miss the software update? Please, somebody tell me. Because there has to be an added shortcut for unsolicited junk photos, man meat photos. And ladies, y'all not off the hook either. I got homeboys that told me stories. They inboxes be full and they didn't request any of it. Because the ease with most of these photos that are flying around makes me wonder if people are out here just thinking, is this a new way of flirting? I just want to make sure. Where in the flirt handbook say, if you send a picture of your goods, that will really get over good with them? No, it does not work. That is not flirting. That's just straight up creepy. And let's not ignore the role of these social media apps because they've got the filters, the stickers, emojis. They make sharing moments more fun, but they've also made it very easy to share way too much. You could post a whole story of your day, but some people hear story and think it's a chance to star in their own R-rated documentary. It's like the art of getting to know someone has been replaced by exposure therapy. That's what it is. It's exposure therapy. And it's not always therapeutic. Whatever happened to the days of actual small talk? Like, what's your favorite movie? Do you like long walks? No, it's none of that no more. Like, let me show you my goods. Your turn. This is not recess. We're not playing on the jungle gym, sir. I'm so sorry. And chemistry, that was left back in the 90s, apparently. Because it's all about nowadays, the quick visuals. If they think you're attractive, boom, time to send nudes. But let me tell you something. Physical attraction is great. It's a wonderful, beautiful thing. But if your conversation skills are stuck on, hey, WYD, we got nothing to talk about. Nothing to talk about. Chemistry isn't built on pictures. It's about a connection. And people just want to bypass it and think they already at that connection. So here's the big question. How did we get here? When did skipping all the social steps become the norm? And what are people even hoping to achieve when you send an unsolicited photo? Honestly, if that's the grand plan, to find a little love or try to get some, no, you may want to rethink the strategy. So I want to get into the psychological portion of it because clearly there's some rewiring that needs to happen here. Like, bring back the flirting, the people connection. It's not extinct. I pray to God it's not extinct. Let's talk about it because some people genuinely get a thrill out of showing off their goods. They are like streakers of the digital age. Back in the day, if you had to streak at a football game to, get that kind of attention, all you need now is a Wi-Fi and a smartphone to do it. But nobody asked for tickets to that portion of the show. Nobody want to see it. Then there's a need for validation. Some people send photos hoping for a little ego boost. But in this situation, that's why I was confused. Like, are you that egotistical? Because apparently you're good, but you have this thing about showing it. So I don't know what that is. But they're sitting there thinking, if they compliment me, that means I still got it. But let me tell you, if your self-esteem depends on someone replying with heart emojis to a nude pic, you might want to try some therapy instead of your camera roll. Now let's move to some misguided attempts to impress or trying to initiate intimacy. Somewhere along the line, someone convinced these people that sending a picture of their goods was a great icebreaker. I don't know how that happened. I'm like, where'd y'all learn this from? There's nowhere I've heard that working. Like, oh, homeboy, I wasn't interested at first, but until that photo, I'm very impressed. I'm sold. Nobody ever. Don't approach me in that way to get with me. In that way. And if I wasn't attracted to you from the get-go, all of a sudden flashing your meat at me is going to make me change my mind? No, that does not work. And don't even get me started on the lack of boundaries because people already have them majorly on social media, but some people genuinely don't understand. But I think a majority of them just don't care. And that's just because you can send something to anybody. Doesn't mean you should, though. But you can send it to anybody. That situation is like giving a toddler a marker. And they're going to draw all over the walls if don't nobody teach them any better. So sending unsolicited nudes is basically the adult version of that. And I'm going to ask the listeners out there, what kind of icebreaker is a penis picture? Is a vaginal picture? Like, what's the follow-up going to be behind either one of those? Like, oh, thanks for the visual. Now, what's your favorite color? How do you even transition from that? It's not a conversation starter. It's a conversation killer. But let's be fair, just for a second. I get it. Social media and dating apps have created a whole world where everything moves so fast. Swipe left, swipe right, DM this, DM that. Some people are just trying to keep up and they think, hey, let's just cut to the chase. There's, a problem. They're just cutting out the part where you're supposed to build a connection, get some respect, and have actual human interaction. They bypass all of that. And while I'm being real, I also think some folks just don't know any better. Maybe they grew up in a world where no one taught them the healthy way to communicate, what it looks like. But it's never too late to learn, you jackasses. So here's my PSA. If you're thinking about sending someone a nude, just pause for a second and ask yourself, is this the best way to show my interest? Will this make them feel respected or uncomfortable? Because if the answer is anything but a resounding yes, then do not hit the send button. And if you still feel the need to share, I want to suggest you start sharing things in your home. Like maybe you got a dog or something, or maybe you got a haircut, new outfit. I would rather see your lunch than that. Literally anything else would be better. Let's zoom out for a minute and talk about what this unsolicited nude phenomenon says about how society is nowadays, because this is just not about the DMs. It's about a deeper shift in how we connect with each other. And now, more accurately, we really don't connect. So let's address the over-sexualization of interactions. Happens all the time. Somewhere along the way, we stopped seeing each other as people, and we started treating every conversation like it's a prelude to something more explicit. We've forgotten that you could talk to somebody without making it about sex. You really can. Imagine that good old-fashioned conversation, how was your day, without having anything about your genitalia involved. It would be revolutionary. And here's the thing. This constant hyper-focus on the physical is exhausting. I mean, absolutely exhausting. It's turned into something that should be meaningful, a connection you're trying to build into a checklist of who looks good and what lighting. Social media has only made it worse, giving everybody a highlight reel of bodies, faces, but no real substance. There's nothing real out there anymore. It's like we're swiping through people like they're items on a menu. Then we also have an issue of impatience. We've become so used to instant gratification that we've forgotten how to invest time in building emotional connections. Why get to know someone when you could just skip through all that, right? Go straight to the goods. Except those shortcuts don't lead to anywhere worth going. It doesn't. It's quick gratification. And once you have your gratification, what's next? Let me ask you this. When did we decide that a genuine communication and respect were outdated? Somewhere along the line, we traded in tell me about your dreams for send me a pic. That's not just frustrating, it's sad because those real deep conversations seem to be fading fast. That's where the magic happens, though, when you have those real authentic conversations. Relationships are built from there. But instead, we're stuck with people thinking if I show enough skin, maybe they'll like me. And if that's what you guys got to do to get, validation, attention, you really need to reevaluate yourself. But the reality is, normalizing this kind of behavior, it just hasn't made dating harder. It's made everything harder. Now we're in this environment where respect and boundaries feel optional, where people are more interested in what they can see than who you really are. And that's a problem because without respect, without taking the time to actually connect with someone, we're not building these relationships. We're exchanging snapshots. Look, I get it. Times change and so do the cultural norms, but I refuse to believe we have to accept this new as a normal. We could do better. We should do better. Because at the end of the day, what we really want, what we really need is to feel seen, heard, valued for who we are, not for what they can see in a DM. I shouldn't have to send you anything more than my personality and my true authentic self. So let's bring back the art of conversation and normalize asking questions, sharing stories, and here's an even wilder idea. Actually get to know each other. Because a little patience and respect can go a lot further than any photo that you ever seen can. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty, and that's how to handle unsolicited news without losing your sanity or your faith in humanity. Because trust me, whether you're the recipient or the sender, there's a better way to go about the whole situation. So if you are like myself, a recipient, finding yourself receiving a surprise photo gallery, so just take a deep breath. Remember, this is not your problem, it's theirs. So you can handle it several ways. You can block them. That's the digital version of slamming a door in somebody's face. You can also report them. Platforms like Instagram, Snapchat, pretty much all social media platforms that have features to report inappropriate content. Please put them to use. Do it because this is something that's a norm for them. And hey, just take advantage of it. And do not engage. Don't waste any of your energy trying to school somebody that skipped respect 101. They clearly are not in the learning mood. And if you need a laugh, text your best friend about the audacity of it all. I promise you, that's exactly what I did. I called the host and had that conversation. And the host was in on the behavior. I'm like, dude. He said, I knew by the end of that live somebody was going to get a pic. I said, yeah, yo. Now for the senders, if you think sending unsolicited news is a bold move, gather around because this is the time for a crash course in what not to do. First of all, consent is sexy. As I said earlier, I did not request these photos. And next thing you want to do is read the room. Is the conversation romantic or you just jumping into somebody's inbox like, you're a streaker at a football game? And would you do it face to face? If you were on a first date, instead of ordering the appetizers, you just whip out a Polaroid of your goods. How awkward is that? You wouldn't do it in real life, so don't do it online. But also keep in mind the legal consequences of someone sending nude photos to your messages, depending on several factors. That includes the context of the situation, the age of the individuals involved, and the laws in your jurisdiction. Now, we know age, you got to be legal and you have to have consent. And even if you are a minor and you're doing stuff like that, you can still be in trouble and face criminal charges. Now, the consent portion of it is if you're sending nude images without the recipient's consent, that could be considered harassment, sexual harassment, or even invasion of privacy. So doing this could vary in different criminal charges and civil penalties depending on what state you're in. And if the recipient does consent to receiving these images, the legal risks are generally lower unless there are other laws involved. Now, if the recipient shares or they distribute the nude images without the sender's consent, they're going to be facing some charges. That's non-consensual distribution, often called revenge porn. So you got to watch your ass. Just because you are on the receiving end and you decide to share it and post it somewhere else or just DM it to somebody else, you didn't get their consent, so you can't do it, so you could be in hot water. Also, keep in mind, if you're sending nudes in a professional setting through a workplace communication tool, that's going to lead to consequences under employment laws. You could get fired, terminated, potentially criminal or civil liability for harassment. So out of all those circumstances and consequences, look, keep the news to yourself. All right, closing out this episode, I appreciate everybody listening in because it's one thing that we've learned today, that's boundaries. Respect and good old-fashioned communication. They never go out of style, even in the age of unsolicited nudes and DM disasters. So why do people think sending nudes is a fast track to somebody's heart? I have no idea. I mean, I'm thinking they're comparing it to a digital equivalent of peacocking, maybe. Maybe they're hoping to see all the goods and immediately think, now that's marriage material. No, that's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. Intimacy, real intimacy that is, that's built on connection, not shock value. And while technology has given us many wonderful things, like we got food delivery apps, we got dating apps, we got social media apps, but it's also made some people forget the importance of a meaningful conversation. You know, we're connecting, but we're really not connecting. I mean, look how technology has set up modern dating. It feels like game shows 9 times out of 10 because you swiping left or right, or maybe even run. They need a run swipe. That's what they need. But it also bypasses the connection. We skip the small talk. We go right to flashing assets. So if you're looking for a connection, just put the phone down, number one. Lead with your personality. I like that a lot better than these skanky pictures that are being sent to the DMs. And before I go, I gotta leave you with this. Imagine if your grandparents tried to date like this. You know, well, Ethel, she sent me a telegram of my niece to Gertha, and she said I'm quite a looker. Nobody wants to go down that portion of the family tree, so thank God. And that's why I'm like, the age I am, I'm so glad all this wasn't around when I was young and dumb. I promise you I am. So let's aim for the relationships we'd actually like to tell our grandkids about someday. Boundaries are sexy. Respect is sexy. And you know what else is sexy? Having a little mystery. Let's save some things for people who take the time to truly get to know us. Thank you guys again for tuning into another episode. I appreciate y'all. Make sure you write me a review on your favorite podcast platform. Check out the other great podcasts on the MBG Podcast Network where we're continuing to spread Black excellence. And of course, you can continue to support my podcast at buymeacoffee.com/Talk to Me Michele with 1 L merchandise. And if you like the content and like to keep it hot and fresh, I appreciate your donations. So until next time, everybody, peace.